Greetings everyone, Fornol here, playing again with the Bespoke Synth. This time trying something a little less dangerous, or what I would call dangerous, just because dangerous as in not being able to load it back up because I'm doing something weird. And what I'm calling weird is just using a lot of VST plugins. Some of them you have to have licenses for, and I don't know, something I did on one of my other attempts at playing with this resulted in me not being able to load it back up. So I thought, well, let's just use only what's built in and see what I can do. So you can hear in the background, this is what I'm working on. Kind of an ambient, droney, pulsating thing, and I'll break it down real quick how this works. So what we have up here is what's called the circle sequencer. It's a note sequencer, just like how the grid, you know, when you have 16 beats per measure and you can sequence the different notes. Well, this is like that, but it lets you have, it gives you 4 different circles, and each circle you can subdivide into a different number of beats, you know, so you can have different intervals in one loop or one measure, one bar, whatever you want to call it. You can divide that up. So you can have regular 4, you know, so it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, or you could have 5, so then it's, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. And it lets you set up 4 different ones here with one of these circle sequencers. You can then set the frequency of the note, the frequency of the note itself, you know, the oscillator, or the note it's sending. Think of this like a MIDI sequencer. This is the note it's sending. And so I've got it set up here with 2 different circles set up. And then this is going, and you can see the note coming out. This is going into what's called a note stepper. Note stepper takes, right now I have it set to 4. And you can see it's kind of like a router. So it will just step through every time it receives a note. It steps to the next one, and that lets me output that note to a device. Because I don't have this, I have 3 notes. It's not going to just repeat every measure. It's gonna have to go through several measures to get back to where 1 is coming out of here. So anyways, and so right now we're just hearing this sample player. This is a sample player. You grab a synth and you say sample player. Then I loaded a sample, and it's just this flute sound. Sorry about that. Flute sound that I recorded off of a record, of a vinyl. I mean, actually vinyl record. So you're getting that crackle and that vinyl sound. Got it going through an EQ over here to soften the highs and push around 200 hertz, just to boost that up a little bit. So you can hear every time it's triggered. Then I've got this effect, which is going to change the sound a lot. I'm going to turn it on. And this is an effects chain. I just have a reverb, freeverb, and I have a granulator. The granulators really neat the way they work. It is sampling the sound and chopping it up into what they call granules. Just little slices of the sample, and then multiplying those slices and overlapping them, and you can control the overlap, the speed. Excuse me. And this is how granular synthesis works too. There's grain synthesizers that you load a sample and you can manipulate that for sound. This is just taking the input from this and doing that. And then finally I'm adding some gain to it to make it louder. Then up here, every third note in the note stepper gets sent to this note duration. That lets me control the length of the note, because if you can see, you can actually visualize how long the note is coming out of here. See, it's just a short little note. But I want to trigger this oscillator. I want it to play a longer note. And I could have done that purely by making the release longer, but I was experimenting, and when I first started, I just wanted it to make a longer note. I wanted to know how to do that. So that's what the note duration does. It takes the note input, and then with the slider lets you increase or decrease the note length. And I've got that going into this oscillator, which is going into a delay, another gain, and that's also feeding into the EQ, so I'll turn that on. You can hear that. Turn this a little bit. You drag these circles, that's the velocity. Velocity is how hard you're hitting the note. So it will control the amplitude. So that's what I got right now. I got this little thing, and it's kind of neat. And it already has an organic feel to it because of the way I'm triggering 3 notes, but stepping on every fourth back to 1, so it does add a little bit of that organic modulation to it in a way. But what I want to do is I want to control some of these parameters. I want to control them with an LFO. So I thought I'd figure out how to do that. I read something about, click this little help button, get some basic help. And there was something in here, right click a slider to add an LFO. So that's kind of interesting to me. I have not tried this yet, so I'm gonna try maybe the speed down here. So I'm gonna right click this. This is the speed of the granulator, and it changes the pitch of the flute sample. I'm gonna right click it. Okay, and it gives me a little window here. What's this pin? Make LFO window remain visible. Okay. Yes, please. Alright. Okay, so now, so this is the oscillation period, 4 notes. It's going to be a sine wave. Low, high, so we're right in almost the middle. So I'm guessing this is going to change. It's a bipolar sine wave, meaning okay, that's way too crazy. It's too fast, so I want this to be free. What's spread? Oh, okay. Length, shuffle. And we can light CPU. Well, it was a good one to test it on because you can hear it. You can hear what it does, but it's not one. I think that's not where I want it, so I'm gonna delete that and pick something. Pitch isn't good because it's just too weird. It becomes psychotic, and this is kind of calming as it is, and I don't want it going into psychopathic serial killer mode. Let's try see if phase does much. That's gonna be on the wow. Here, we'll just isolate this. Let's turn this up. You know, you can resize these things, but then you start losing. Oh, I didn't know that was out there. I was wondering how you did that. Okay. Turn this guy up. Maybe we could do the volume of this. Or the delay. Yeah, let's do this. Do the delay. Right click. There we go. Pin it. Give ourselves a little room. Okay. And I like free. See, that's a nice subtle one to do it with. Yeah, I kind of like that. And, you know, everything's experimentation right now. I am not a pro. I have no goal. You know, I'm just playing with this thing to see what I can do. One thing I would like to know is how I can set up the number of voices this will play. I believe it might just be hard-coded. Another neat thing is if you set this up to, there's a program called YouTube Downloader, and I think they make, you know, it's an open source little utility. If you set this up and point it to that executable, you can just put a URL of a video on YouTube in here, and it'll just download it as the sample. So that's a pretty awesome feature that you're not going to see in most DAWs or even via, you know, soft synths or VSTs. Well, I don't want to go too long, so I just wanted to show you, you know, this is my I'd say this is my third experiment, and I want to make this more. I want to add more to it, but I don't want to do it all on camera because I'm still learning and I'm very slow. It's kind of a slow learner, but deep learner. So I want to explore all the different things. But what I'm thinking this would be neat if there was like a okay, I'll try and do it with my voice. Okay. You know, like a higher little ebb and flow, like that. So that's probably going to be my next goal. I can hear it in my head. And you know, if I get back to this and make progress on it, I'll make another video. But this is a really cool toy, and I know I'm not really making a song, and I will do that in another video. We'll try and make a song, like a synth dance song or whatever. All right.